Welcome back, landlords. I am Paul J Rouillard, founder of Ontario Landlord Help Group on Facebook. Just over 26,000 members. If you're not a part of it, I think you should be. Check the description for links. Today, in our DIY property management series, we'll dive into essential tips for managing rental properties remotely, specifically focusing on inspections, handling repairs, and dealing with emergencies. Let's jump right into inspections. This is a crucial aspect, and you must keep an eye on your property's condition regularly. So here's how. You need to schedule periodic inspections by hiring local handy workers or certified property inspectors. That's super important. So if you're not going to have a property manager do this for you every single month, you're going to need to rely on somebody who's local where your property is to take a look at it for you and be your eyes out there in the city where your property is located in. And honestly, you need to embrace technology. Technology drives this property management industry now. So you can use video calls or have virtual inspections when you have a handy person or certified inspector who can go there and be on a video call with you and literally walk through the property and be able to give you everything that you need, so your eyes and ears out on the property. Alternatively, you can even consider offering a fee to your tenants. So, a lot of our members do this as well. So if you live a couple hundred kilometers from your property and you just can't show up there every single month, you can offer them $20, $30, $40 to do a nice walkthrough with you on WhatsApp video. And, if you're communicating well with your tenant and you get along, this is something where a tenant won't have a problem doing. And, for them, you don't need to hassle them with a 24-hour inspection and doing a walkthrough, where they can just basically do a walkthrough through the entire property and take a look at it. So, that's really cost effective compared to, having professional services. That's for sure. Something really exciting is we actually interviewed a home inspector. His name is Stephan Tremblay with Northern Inspections. So he had a lot of really great insight for landlords. So take a look. Stephan Tremblay, thanks for joining us today. You are with Northern Inspections. Great having you. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. How are you today?
Paul. I'm very good. Yourself?
Beautiful. Great. Well, I'm happier I'm talking to you. we got some really cool stuff for landlords, our DIY that we're working on. Got a few questions for you, so if we can just jump right into it, and our members will hear you out, and hopefully you'll get a couple calls from them. And
Sure.
First question, tell me about your business, your name, which region you work in, and any other information you'd like to share about your business.
Sure. My name is Stephan Tremblay. Obviously, Paul just said the company is Northern Inspections. We do residential and commercial property inspections in Windsor and Essex County. Pretty much anything from a mobile home to an industrial site, we do inspect. And this company started at the end of 2010. So we're rolling into over 13 years in business.
Wow, 13 years, eh? That's enough to have a couple master degrees in it.
Yeah, pretty much. And we've rolled through, pretty much 2 recessions, and we've watched the real estate market go up and down and backwards and forwards, and still here, which is great.
Seen it all. So when
Yeah.
you're doing walkthroughs on behalf of landlords, what are some things that you're looking for?
Well, I know for landlords, the biggest or the most common items that they're most concerned about are the big ticket items, right? Like the roof and the HVAC and the electrical. Insurability is a big item. But more importantly is usually safety, right? Making sure that all the bedrooms are done legally, making sure that any fire escapes, any decks, porches, or anything aren't rotted out. Because as a landlord, you assume all liability. So it's on you. I would say the least concern for most landlords right now is the cosmetic stuff, right? So they're not too concerned, a couple countertops with burn marks in it, or things like that. Their concern is, do I have to spend a lot of money right off the bat? So when we go to do a walkthrough for those investors, if they're present or not, those are really the points of contention that I know most of them are most concerned about. They want to purchase a property. They don't want to have any issues right off the bat, and they don't want to have to dump thousands of dollars into it immediately. They pretty much want it to be ready to rock and roll, start collecting rent, and then have time to budget for some of those other items if they can get some time out of them.
Right. So liability is really big as well. So would you check smoke detectors, fire extinguishers, and those kind of
Absolutely.
things? Or, okay. So with that, would you be checking if they're expired or changing batteries? I guess that would be an additional service that you could provide for the landlord, right?
Yeah, and honestly, I would say 9 times out of 10, the smoke alarms have disappeared over time.
Yeah. You see that all the time.
We got a lot of tenants that aren't very good at cooking, and they're in a drawer somewhere, or they're
Yeah.
the batteries are.
They don't understand the hush button.
Yes, exactly. So
Yeah.
so yeah, we do make sure that that those points are brought to their attention. Like you said, the safety of the tenant is always the number one concern because of the liability. But also we want to make sure that if we go through the basement, there's no signs that there's been any recent water damage, nothing's been covered up. Last thing you want to do is take over a property, get a really heavy rain or a snow melt, and all of a sudden you have to displace your tenants because you have to
Yeah.
remediate.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. So what kind of pricing range would you charge a landlord for this service?
If we're doing just a basic walkthrough, kind of going in 20, 30 minutes, touching on those points, and the investor or the landlord is with me, it's about $150.
Okay.
If you want us to go through and look at some more stuff, and get just a short summary, then the price is a little bit more, about 250. If you want to get into full inspections, if you're actually looking at purchasing the property beforehand and you want to get like a full-on home inspection, things like that, we do offer options too with our inspections. You can get a full standard home inspection with a full report. We do offer a smaller version of that, just in case you might not have your offer in yet, but you want to make
Right.
sure, okay, the big stuff's good. I might have to compete for this property. So we do have what's called a 5-point inspection, and that will cover the big stuff, your foundation, HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and roof. So those are a couple $100. So we try to make it fair for everybody. We do like to give as much information as possible.
Yeah,
And
amazing. I think even like for your services, when landlords are having a new tenant move in, just even having you go and take a look at it, I think that would, alleviate some problems or potential issues because I just seen it today. Actually, we had a landlord call us and they had a tenant who did damages, but then they don't have any proof of what the walls look like prior to the damages that were completed by the tenant. And that's something that you would take a look at as well, I'm assuming, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Photo documentation is key. Our reports, I put a ton of photos in. And I've had that in the past as well, where, we've had all these photos and the tenant says, oh, I didn't do that. It was already like that. Well, we did inspection a year ago. Here's the photos. And then all of a sudden, oh, okay, maybe my kids did it. Right. So it changes their tune
Yeah.
once you have that documentation. And all of our reports stay on a server for 7 years. And they're downloadable. So it's always good to have that documentation available at any notice.
Right. So what I'll do, you're a trusted business with Ontario Landlord Help Group. I will put a link to your website and I'll put the price tag there. So I guess your service is starting at $150 for that walkthrough for landlords. I'll insert that information for you. So any landlord seeing it, if you go to the description below, click on the links there, you'll be able to see Northern Inspections and the link there. Final question here for you, Stephan. Do you have any preventative care suggestions for landlords?
Well, preventative maintenance is always key, right? It's like having a car. Sometimes you have to swap your tires. Sometimes you have to change your oil. The difference is your property should make you money and a car is going to lose money over time. So big things are always going to be making sure that, your mechanicals are checked out. It's very simple to hire somebody $100 each year to come out and do a cleaning service on your furnace, make sure the air conditioner is working good. We live in a wet region, so the biggest thing is usually water in the basement. So
Yes.
make sure that sump pump works. Make sure the house is the grading is away from the house. Just do these little preventive things, just like it'd be your house.
Yeah.
And just make sure that you don't get that midnight phone call on a rainy night from your tenant saying that you've got water in your basement, right?
Yeah, well, it's actually, I see it all the time, and I'm sure you see it all the time too, because I walk through hundreds of properties, and a lot of people don't really know how important the grading is, and the water being pushed away, down the eavesdrops, and a lot of moisture issues are directly, because water is draining back into the home, and
Yeah, well,
you see it all
your
the time.
foundation block is very nice and strong, but it's also very porous. So if
Yeah.
we keep putting water against it, eventually it will make its way through. And always say water is a bastard. It'll go wherever it wants to go. So if we can direct it away from the house, we could potentially save tens of thousands of dollars in repairs for a
And quite
very
literally, I mean, you're looking at like eavesdrop extensions that are like $25.
yeah, exactly.
It's not that much money to do that.
Hmm.
Maybe that's another video we'll do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Stephan, thanks for joining us today. Anything you'd like to add to all of this?
Nothing. I just hope all the investors out there are doing well. The market is a little strange right now, but it seems that most of the investors I'm talking to are doing well, and no vacancies, and rent prices are doing well for everybody as well. So I just hope everybody continues on with their success. And if you ever need an inspector for anything, feel free to give me a shout.
Beautiful. Thanks for your time today, Stephan.
Thanks for having me, Paul. Appreciate it,
Okay.
man.
All right. Take care.
See ya.
Wow, that's such a great video. Stephan gave some really, really great information for landlords. Everything that he said was pretty dead on. And, I think if your property is located in the area that Stephan works in, I think it's super important, give him a call, let him do your walkthroughs. Even when, tenants are about to move in, he can do a checklist, a move-in checklist with your tenants, and at least, get good pictures of the unit before the tenant moves in. So that way, if you ever get trapped in a scenario where there's damages, Stephan will be there to help you to be able to prove those damages. So Stephan, your information's awesome. Thanks for joining us today. Let's just jump right into the next part, and it's handling repairs. Now, this is also very important, and it is also very difficult for landlords if you don't know what you're doing. But if you know what you're doing, it's actually pretty easy. But this is a very, very important aspect to the property management business that you are learning to run by yourself. So you need to build a reliable network of local contractors or maintenance personnel. So platforms like Facebook Marketplace or Kijiji can be gold mines for finding trustworthy individuals. So you need to either post some ads in there locally where your property is located, or you can go and look at ads where your property is located. And you need to call them, you need to interview them. Don't chat with them. Pick up the phone and set up an interview, a Zoom call, so you can see them. And you need to understand who they are, make sure that they are a good fit, that you can communicate well with them. Just make sure that they look like stand-up individuals. And that's your job to do, and you need to find somebody who you can rely on, because at the end of the day, this is your property, and you need to be able to trust the people that is going to be looking after your property for you. So you need to understand the rates. You need to know what they charge. So that way, if they have to go to your property for any specific reason, you're going to know, approximately how much it's going to cost you to do that. So you need to have them do an initial walkthrough of your property. That's also very important, because if you do that, then at least they know what to look at. They know where your water shutoffs are. In an emergency, that's the last thing you want in the middle of the night, is somebody have to go through information to find that. Your breaker panels, things like that are super important. You want to make sure that they do that walkthrough. So it's going to cost you for the walkthrough, just like Stephan mentioned in his video. He charges $150 for that walkthrough, but I think it's very important, to have a handy worker do this. I think a handy worker will do that maybe at half of that cost, just for that walkthrough, just to make sure that if there are any repairs, then this person's going to be designated to be able to go there and fix the problem for you. You also need to utilize property management software that enables tenants to submit their requests online. And you need to promptly respond and coordinate with the handy workers or contractors, so that way they can find a really quick resolution to that problem. So with using a property management software, I think that this is going to be very helpful for landlords, especially for tenants, because if there's any problems or any work orders or anything along those lines, they can just go in there and then type in their issue. You would get that on your end really fast, and then you can even invite your handy person into that, so that way they get the notification as well. But at the end of the day, you want to make sure that nobody's running this aspect of your business for you, because you are the one doing it, and you need to save money so you're not paying project management fees. So if you can coordinate that and then contact the person that you choose to hire, and they go there and handle whatever repairs it is, I think that is super, super important. So the next item is handling emergencies. Kind of goes hand in hand with repairs, but you must be prepared, because emergencies happen, and they happen when we don't expect them, and that is a fact. So you have to make sure that when this emergency happens, you need to be able to act on it, and preparation is the key here, 100%. So I would even go as far as crafting a comprehensive emergency plan covering various scenarios. So, covering plumbing issues, electrical problems, natural disasters, whichever it may be. But you need to share it with your tenants, and you need to consider even having it printed and maybe almost like a manual. I think that's super important. You should probably have this anyways, because if there is an emergency, let's just say, and there is a flood, a piping burst, or whatever the case may be, somebody really quickly needs to go down wherever it is, usually in the basement somewhere, shut the main water line off. And if nobody knows where this is, then your emergency is going to get a lot worse. So you should even have a map with a diagram, even have it somewhere in the home at the entrance. Almost the same thing when you go to a hotel and you step out of the elevator and they have it, placed right on the wall. I think that's very important, because if anything ever happens, at least, they're going to have a mental note on it and know exactly where it's at. So somebody can go down there and shut it off. So especially if you're dealing with a tenant that you communicate well with and you work well with them, they're not going to have any hesitations. They're just going to go down there and shut it off. And there you go. The problem solved of damages that could be worse. And then at that point, you can have your handy person go in there and assess it for you and find the solution of fixing that. Water shutoffs is very important. That should be in your printed handbook. The other item that happens all the time is, I get calls from tenants all the time and say, hey, my fridge is not working and my stove's not working, or the lights are not working. Normally what that is, it's just your breaker panel. So they popped a breaker. Actually, it happened to me last night with one of my tenants. Sorry, not last night, but last week. And, I had to send somebody down to the property and go pop that breaker. So it's a good idea to make sure that's part of that plan. If it's a single family home, and it's within their common area, then certainly I think I would show them where that is in case it does pop up. So that way you don't have to, send an electrician who's going to charge you, some expensive fees to go down there to just pop the breaker for you. So I think that is super, super, super important. So you want to make sure that you also have your emergency contacts on that manual, or somewhere printed, just in case something does pop up. So let's just say that they cannot reach you and you're not answering your phone in the middle of the night, or whatever the case may be. They need to have a secondary person to be able to contact, and that should be your handyman, your handy person or contractor, or somebody that you trust, that you're hiring, and let them know that they're on this list, and you would set a price with them right from the beginning, so that way it's known. So maybe it's worth it if there's a call in the middle of the night that you're going to agree to pay them $150 or $200 or $250, depending on what the emergency is. But you need to have a way where your tenants can contact somebody in case that there is some type of emergency like that. And again, it comes down to trust. So right from the beginning of this video, when I talked about your inspections and handling repairs, when you start calling individuals, you just want to make sure that you are able to communicate well with these people, and they seem like genuinely really trustworthy individuals. And I think that is very important. And if you follow this right here, then you're never going to pay a project management fee ever again. And trust me, you will save thousands of dollars, possibly every single year, just by handling these items yourself. technology drives the forces. Technology drives the business. It drives the industry. It really does. So let's utilize that now, and let's take advantage of it, and let's start saving money, because we can run these things from our own homes. So yeah, you can do it. Every landlord can do it. And, let's just wrap this up here. So effective property management from a distance requires proactive planning, open communication with tenants, clear lease agreements, and ready access to emergency contacts. So in your lease agreements, you can even have additional clauses in your lease agreement, and you can have the emergency contacts right in the leasing agreement as well. So I think that's very important. And you can even have in there that in case of water leaks, please call this number first, call this number second if the first number doesn't answer. So those are things that you can insert into your lease agreement. Super, super, super important. Landlords, I can't tell you enough. If you watch this entire series and you're following along, by the end of the final episode in this series, you will be able to manage your properties yourself and never have to pay a property manager to manage your property ever again. And once you start mastering this, it becomes your career. So, a lot of landlords are in this business for different reasons. Some are holding properties because they want to make a profit every single month. Other ones don't want to hold their money into the bank, and, they want to be able to have, a really great retirement and be able to sell their properties when they retire, or gift their properties to their children, or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, if you're managing it yourself, you will be able to make cash flow every single month. Believe it, I do it. I'm teaching several thousands of landlords to do it, and it is not difficult. Once you start doing it yourself, it's going to be easy. It's going to be repetitive. Once you have a system in place with property management software, it's going to be pretty simple to do. So yeah, stay tuned for up and coming episodes. We're going to dive deeper into more DIY property management strategies. And remember, like I said, by the end of this series, you're going to be equipped with a way to manage your properties efficiently without having to pay anybody for this. So thanks watching episode 2. Stay tuned for the next episode. Again, my name is Paul J Rouillard, founder of Ontario Landlord Help Group. If you're not a part of our Facebook group, please join it. It's going to help you. You're going to want to be a part of it. We have over 500 posts every single month of landlords asking questions, and we have other landlords who are answering the questions and helping every landlord. So it's a wonderful, wonderful landlord community. And please subscribe to our Facebook. Not our Facebook, but our YouTube channel. We are going to be doing live Q&As with a paralegal very soon. Once we hit 1,000 subscribers, we are going to be doing that. And you're going to be really excited because we're going to be picking some really great questions from many of our members, and we'll be answering them in real time. Thanks again, and happy landlording.